One last comment
Yeah.
before we sum up the.
I have 2 points to make. One is about product approval. Right?
Sorry?
Product approval.
Product.
Now you have a standard, say for a syrup, or such similar sorts of standards for different things. What's wrong in getting a syrup with a lesser bricks, say for example, and there was a recent case I think. Now, that is not really scientific. It has to go to a scientific panel, or it has to go through all the big procedures. It is a simple thing. Syrup means 65 bricks. What's wrong with getting a 50 bricks syrup if a particular person or customer wants it that way? That is one question. Similar examples can be given for different things. Secondly, can there a mechanism be put in place where the products itself get certified by a SGS or some sort of international authority there, and then get into India, and that SGS certificate will be quite valid and circumvent the whole testing procedure, sir?
Okay, so there are 2 questions. The first question first. Syrup, the bricks is less, then does it get covered in the definition of syrup, sugar syrup? Is something that you need to evaluate. If a sugar syrup, which is labeled as, or there is a regulation or there is a standard for 65% sugar, TSS should be there, then it should be, to call it syrup, it should contain 65% bricks. If it is less, then you tell the product approval division that this is exactly what I want to bring, and it is not 65%, it is 50% or 30%, and this is the scientific reason and this is the purpose for which I am bringing. Please explain it to them, and they will allow you if they think it is appropriate.
Sir, do we still have to go for product approval? That is my question.
I think so. You will have to go to them. It need not go to the scientific panels.
But it's a long drawn procedure again.
No, it is not a long drawn process.
Okay, yeah.
If it is under 1A category, then no problem. Now coming to your second question is, if a product has been tested abroad by a testing laboratory, then it should be accepted in India. Let me ask you a question. If you export a product from India after doing testing by any of the good laboratories, best laboratories, accredited laboratories, will the test report be accepted in Europe or United States or Japan? No. Let me answer that also. They don't accept it. In spite of the fact that NABL has an acknowledgement from ILAC and APLAC, International Laboratory Accreditation Council. Even then, a certificate issued by an NABL accredited laboratory is not accepted in Europe or other places. They say, we will test it. We ask the same question, can we enter into a mutual recognition agreement? They say, we will not recognize your laboratories. We will do the testing in our own country, by our own laboratory. और ये भूल जाइए कि उनकी laboratory हमसे अच्छी है. I have seen laboratories everywhere in the world.
Sir, 1 second.
Let me now just complete this.
The principle of equivalence applies.
No, I'm coming to that.
Perfect.
Exactly. They said we will not recognize your laboratories. India is a sovereign country. Why we should recognize their test report? We will also do the same testing. They said you seek an equivalence. We also say you seek an equivalence. We are willing to enter into a bilateral discussion. We have no problem with that. But ये मत कहिए कि उनकी लेबोरेटरी अच्छी है, उनकी सर्टिफिकेशन बॉडी दूध की धुली है, इसलिए उसको आप एक्सेप्ट कर लीजिए, हमारा चाहे एक्सेप्ट हो या ना हो. ये नहीं होगा. There has to be a level playing field. You accept my laboratory, I'll accept your laboratory.
But then can it be?
You accept my certification body, I'll accept your certification. I have handled this for several years.
What about this point?
And equivalence agreement, there is a codex guideline on judgment of equivalence. We are willing to follow that also. And we did that. In case of organic products, India has an equivalence agreement with the European Union, with the United States, with Switzerland. We gave them documentation according to the same judgment of equivalence guideline. They reviewed it, it came for inspection, it took 3 years, and they approved our certification bodies, they approved our standards, they approved our accreditation system. And then products certified as organic in India are accepted by them, they are not retested or re-examined or recertified there. Now, they are also exporting organic products to India. Currently, there are no mandatory standards, so I'm keeping quiet. But very shortly, in about 6 to 8 months' time, you will see organic standards in India also. And there we are going to say that organic products will be allowed to be imported into India if it is certified by an accredited certification body in India. Which means the Indian certification body, let us say a certification body is owned by Mr. Chandrasekhar, he will have to certify that product in that country from where it is going to be exported, unless that country seeks an equivalence with India. Then we will consider the request according to the same guideline. There has to be a uniform approach. If you insist on certain things, I will also insist.
That,
As simple as that.
That, sir, is a message for the industry and for the importers to bring pressure on the countries from where you are importing, on the exporting country, to abide by the principle of equivalence. If they don't recognize Indian certification, we are unwilling to recognize their certification.
But I'm sure,
Therefore, it has to be.
WTO negotiations, such kind of equivalence has been.
Yes, this is acknowledged in the SPS agreement.
One more. Sir, without stretching you, can I take one more? Would you like to take one more?
Sure.
Maybe 1.5 questions, maybe, I don't know. Yes, I think there.